Okay, so we're going to be starting with just a simple canvas. It's a 10 by 8 inch canvas that I just got from Hobbycraft. I'm just showing you that there's nothing on the canvas, just a plain old canvas. The wooden chips I just keep to one side. The stencil I'm going to be using is by Imagination Crafts, and it has all the gears and the light bulbs, and I thought it would make a nice background. So I'm just going to get it out and get it ready to work with. And then what I did do was pre-prepared the resin molds. I did coat them with a bit of white gesso as they come out quite yellowy, so I just wanted to give them an extra coating. So I'm just going to put those to one side. Okay, so I'm just going to use a normal black gesso. Any brand is fine, whichever you prefer. I just used whatever I had laying around. It's always good to give it a good mix. And then what we want to do is coat the entire canvas. So I use all the leftover residue because I just shook the bottle all over the canvas. Movements up and down, back and forth, whichever way you prefer. Just make sure you cover the whole canvas. Okay, and then after that, just give it a dry with a heat gun. That's much easier and it dries quicker. Once it is dry, we're going to be adding the stencil. So I just used a normal texture paste, which was from Creative Moose Designs. And I'm just going to be using those little, I call them dotty pieces, just every now and then. If you choose to use anything else on the mold, it just depends on what you want to use. I just wanted a little bit of texture to the canvas. So just scraping along the pieces of the stencil that you would like to get through. Don't scrape off too much, just leave it thick enough. And then before I wash it, I just want to place it on different parts of the canvas. Some of it I might cover up when I actually add the resin pieces, but just to show you that you can add very, very nice texture just from texture paste on your canvas backing. Just wiping off the sides, it just went off the edge a little bit. And that's something you can also do, is also do the edging of it with the stencil if you like to follow the design through. So just doing the centered piece, which is more than likely where I will actually cover up with the resin pieces, but in case there is something sticking out, I'll at least have a little bit of background texture. Okay, so to just make sure that it's nice and dry, because we need it to dry in a good decent amount of time, I use the heat gun again. It's your own preference if you'd like to dry it overnight or dry it for a little period of time, step away from it, but I just dry it straight away, and yeah, you can work with it quite quickly. It's just me touching to see if it is dry. Still a little bit squishy. You just would like it to be a little bit harder, just so that we're going to be painting gesso over the top of it. So we just need to make sure it is hard enough where it doesn't spread all around the place. Okay, so what we're going to do is I've decided to add the resin pieces first. I'm using a glue gun, making sure that everything is dry. So all I'm doing is just placing the resin pieces just to see where I'd like to place everything, and then I'll go back and actually glue all the pieces. You don't have to use a glue gun. You can use mixed media glue, but in this instance I was just recording a video and just making sure it was stuck down. The glue gun worked quite well. Okay, so I just start and add quite a generous amount of glue in the pieces that I needed. Sorry, that was just me pushing down on the glue pen just to make sure the glue was coming out properly. This is when I realized my glue pen's battery had died and had to step away and get another glue pen quickly. Okay, so we're back to the glue gun now, not a glue pen. And again, sticking all the pieces down, generous amounts of glue. Like I said, you can use your mixed media glue. Just pushing from the back of the canvas just to make sure the pieces were actually sticking. Don't want them falling off halfway, so it's me just making sure they're sticking down, and the last few pieces to stick down. Okay, and then all we need to do is just give a coat of gesso all over all the embellishments, and I just add another coat over the canvas because we do have those texture sculpture paste that we did through the stencil also on the canvas. I like to get that covered, so just make sure you get all the white areas covered with the black gesso. You can carry on doing that. need to dry it with the heat gun all over again. Make sure everything's nice and dry. I decided to add the Seahorse. Just wanted to make sure all the elements underneath the Seahorse were covered with the gesso. And again, using the glue gun to stick it down. And then don't forget that you need to gesso the Seahorse as well. So just adding a good coat around the Seahorse. So once it's gessoed, again, just dry with the heat gun. Make sure all the pieces are dry. So next I use the Cadence Rusty Patina. This one is the blue. I just add some to the side of my canvas and use a little bit of a dry brush technique, up and down and back and forth, and just cover as much of the canvas as you like. I like to use the blue as a background color. Blue is my favorite color, so that is why I chose to use it as a background color. The Seahorse did move a little bit, but I do try and glue it down later again. That was my own fault. I was being a bit rough with it. Next one I'm going to use is again the Cadence Rusty Patina, and this one is the brown. And again, place it on the side of the canvas and just lightly dry brush in certain areas. You don't have to cover the whole canvas, just use bits and bobs wherever you think you need a bit of color. And then the next one I used was the chalked, rich multi-deco chalked paint. The colors I used were the turquoise, Mediterranean blue, and I think a little bit down the line I used the patina color along the line. And again, just dry brush. Wherever you feel it needs a bit more definition, just dry brush. And every time you can see I'm just using a little bit of paint to the side and just lightly brushing across the elements. So the last color that I used was the Cadence Rusty Patina. This one was the orange. This is just to give a more rusty effect to the actual design. And again, just every now and then, just add bits and pieces around. Not the whole item. I wanted the Seahorse to stand out a little bit more in this instance. And then lastly, I decided to use this Gold Treasure gliding polish, which is very much like a wax. I always apply it just to the side of my hand and then just dab my finger very lightly so that you just rub your finger very gently across the tops of the actual elements. It just shows up pieces of the actual embellishments as you go along. So you can be as generous or, you know, just liberal as you want to, not too much. I added some to the canvas as well, just to the edges, just to finish it off. And that's pretty much your piece, your mixed media piece. Thank you so much for joining me.